This is the news at 7 on NT International. I'm Lami Ali. Taiwo Ozoma is a sign language interpreter. We begin with the headlines. ECOWAS raises concern over Lassa fever threat to regional health security priorities, commends Nigeria and Senegal for outstanding control of disease. On International Literacy Day, experts seek global awareness to tackle challenges, urges proper navigation to bridge gaps in digital world. Also on the news, Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store's Labour Party holds a narrow lead as polls open this Monday. Now we begin with ECOWAS. West Africa has learned valuable lessons from Ebola, COVID-19 and Lassa fever. But Lassa fever has proved to be a recurring disease in the sub-region, threatening ECOWAS health security priorities. Turning those lessons in infectious disease control into action for curtailing the spread of Lassa fever is the major concern for experts as the regional conference in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, as reported by Kelvin Iwunwai.
It is a convergence of global experts in infectious disease control brought together by the West African Health Organization, WAHO, in furtherance of ECOWAS Health Security Initiative. Scientists, policymakers, and donor agencies are brainstorming on how to work out a roadmap to find solutions to Lassa fever threat in the sub-region, with major focus on finalizing research on vaccination, identified as most realistic solution as cost of treatment to ribavirin, the only available drug, continue to surge, and mortality rates on the rise in many West African countries. What Nigeria and Senegal have done in scaling up diagnostic efficiency in Lassa fever control over the years is one that gives hope that the scourge can be overcome with enhanced regional collaboration, which ECOWAS is seeking with this conference.
I believe that a lot of progress has been made in the Lassa fever field since the last meeting. We just need to increase the momentum. We certainly need a lot more investment to move things along, and we need more hands on deck. We need the political commitment and at ministerial, at head of state level, at regional and at continental level to make this happen.
For the next 4 days, what will occupy the minds of policymakers and experts here is finding a roadmap for a governance structure for managing Lassa fever and other infectious diseases, using templates from countries like Nigeria and Senegal to accelerating regional solutions. In Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, Kelvin Iwunwai, NTA News.
Now, the 17th annual review meeting of the ECOWAS Regional Network of National Focal Institutions Against Trafficking in Persons has ended in Lagos, with delegates warning that irregular migration is a major driver of human trafficking in West Africa. Joy Ken Abakpoya reports.
After 5 days of deliberations, delegates from across the ECOWAS sub-region and partners agreed that the search for greener pastures abroad often leaves many migrants vulnerable to exploitation in transit and destination countries. Tackling the migration routes exploited by traffickers, they noted, is crucial to reducing the crime. The meeting further resolved that gender-based violence and violence against children must be treated as closely linked offenses, demanding equal attention from member states.
For the past 5 days, we've discussed these issues with professionalism. We should now also take notes and action to include violence against children, gender-based violence, and that are closely related to trafficking in persons, for which member states should take actions on within the current mandates they have.
From the ECOWAS Commission, Olatunde Olayemi emphasized stronger law enforcement cooperation, wider public awareness, and improved victim support as key priorities before the next review.
We expect that, which is usually the case, between one meeting, annual review, and the next, there is an implementation plan per member state and also at the regional level. We expect that that will be done, or it will be well implemented, and they will come back in a year to assess the work that has been done on those broad priorities.
With migration, gender-based violence, and child abuse identified as interlinked threats, delegates say West Africa must intensify collaboration and strengthen protection measures to safeguard its most vulnerable citizens. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakuya, NTA News.
Norwegians began casting their votes Monday, with Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre of Labour Party holding a narrow lead in the polls, just as Burundi's Ezekiel Nibigira is the new president of Economic Community of Central African States, ECOWAS. Habibat Aminu reports.
Polls have opened in Norway for parliamentary elections. Reports say, with Norway's fragmented political landscape, the outcome of the election will hinge on smaller parties crossing the 4% threshold for parliamentary seats. Analysts are of the view that the political instability from Donald Trump's tariff threats to the war in Ukraine could encourage voters to stick with the current government. Turnout of the election is expected to be high. About 1.9 million people have already voted. Final results are due late Monday after polls close at 9 p.m. local time. In another news, the Economic Community of Central African States has appointed a new president, Ezekiel Nibigira, who is Burundi's former foreign minister. He was appointed to a 5-year term at a meeting in Equatorial Guinea, succeeding Angola's Gilberto Vicimo. Nibigira has a doctorate in business administration and finance. He is a member of parliament for Burundi's ruling National Council for the Defense of Democracy and Forces of the Defense of Democracy, and a leading figure in the party. Reports say he will continue to reform the commission and work to restore its credibility. In Abuja, Habibat Aminu, NTA News.
The United Kingdom is hosting border security talks with the United States, Canada, Australia and New Zealand. Still in the UK, millions are bracing up for underground worker strike. Here again is Habibat Aminu with the details.
The newly appointed British Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood has welcomed counterparts from the UK, US, Canada, Australia and New Zealand for Five Eyes talks on strengthening border security. The Security Alliance, hosted by Shabana Mahmood, comes after the arrival of an estimated 1,000 people by small boats in Britain over the course of a single day, as smuggling of people on small boats now hits 30,000. The meeting aims to provide measures to counter migrant smuggling gangs, online child sexual abuse and drugs. In another news, millions of commuters in London are facing a week of travel misery as tube workers work out in a major strike. The action has already shut down stations and disrupted key lines. The 5-day strike by London Underground staff began on Sunday, with transport warning of little or no service as several lines are already at a standstill. The Royal Maritime Transport Union says drivers, maintenance and signalling staff are pushing for better pay and shorter work hours. With up to 5 million daily passengers relying on the tube, the strike is expected to cause severe disruptions across the capital in the week. In Abuja, Habibat Aminu, NTA News.
Nigeria is hosting data protection authorities from 6 African countries on a week-long governance study in Abuja. Ayodeji Makinde reports that the convergence aims to deepen data privacy frameworks and share knowledge with partners.
The trajectory of Nigeria's digital economy is an attraction that is promoting collaboration with global and continental partners as Nigeria steers the wheel of digital transformation in Africa. The European Union and NEPAD join in this course to fortify data governance, safeguard data rights of citizens and digital resilience. Chairman, Network of Africa Data Protection Authorities, Vincent Olatunji, who heads the NDPC, wants more collaboration as data protection has created over 23,000 new jobs and contributed more than $1.5 million to the Nigerian economy in just over 2 years.
Please see this as also a trade-to-trade program where we get back to our country so that we just dump all we've acquired there. Let's try and see how we can organize different teams, different organizations, different countries. Try to impart knowledge.
The EU remains your long-term partner, committed to multilateralism, digital inclusion, and the African digital sovereignty.
It is a strategic investment in unwavering commitment to supporting our member states in translating continental framework into national actions.
The call for more strategic investments to transform policy into action re-echoed with the Senate Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity.
The people that can make this thing happen are the lawmakers in your country. If you do not engage them, if they do not understand what the issues are, it is a lot easier to legislate on roads, on buildings, on something physical than to legislate on data.
The wait for Nigeria's digital economy and e-governance bill to become an act of parliament is on as the country navigates towards a secured cyberspace dominated with the currency of data. In Abuja, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
Nigerian humanitarian coordinator Mohammed Fall has described the Friday's killing of civilians in Bama as appalling, wondering how over 50 souls were slaughtered by non-state armed groups for no offense, and an unknown number of people were also allegedly abducted, with others fleeing with injuries. At least 28 houses were also reportedly burned during the attack. The humanitarian coordinator conveyed the condolences of the United Nations office in Nigeria to the families of those killed, the people and governments of Borno State. He called on security authorities to apprehend the perpetrators of this heinous attack and swiftly bring them to justice. The United Nations office also appealed to security agencies to ensure the immediate release of all those abducted. To raise global awareness and tackle literacy challenges, UNESCO established International Literacy Day, marked every year on September 8. This year's focus is on navigating the opportunities and challenges of our digital world. Here is Frama Pangi with the reports.
For over 50 years, this day has served as a global reminder to policymakers and the public of literacy's critical role in building just, peaceful, and inclusive society. But the challenge remains immense. According to UNESCO, at least 739 million youth and adults still lack basic literacy skills. Furthermore, 4 in 10 children are not reaching minimum proficiency in region. With digitalization reshaping how we live, work, and socialize, this year's theme, promoting literacy in the digital era, is more relevant than ever. While it offers incredible tools for learning, it also raises concerns over privacy, bias, and the spread of misinformation. In this context, literacy is no longer just about reading and writing on paper. It is the key skill needed to safely access, understand, evaluate, and create digital content. It is essential for fostering critical thinking and navigating our complex information landscape.
Is to see how policymakers in the education sector, particularly non-formal, can see how they can address the issue of literacy in the digital way to make it better so that people will have more access to education.
As the global community celebrates the progress made in literacy at all levels, it is a day for critical reflection on how we design and manage literacy programs in the digital age.
I have learned to be a data analyst from my digital device. I have learned policy analysis from my digital device. I'm better because these devices exist, and that's the truth. So we have to change our relationship with these devices. Let's use them as tools instead of these devices using it and owning us.
When we talk about education, when we talk about literacy, we can't talk about it in the same way it used to be. Now a lot of things have to be incorporated into literacy, and we have to look at it through the digital angle. And we all know the dangers that come, especially with the rise of AI. But the same way there are challenges, there are also opportunities that we have to explore.
It is spotlighting the effective policies that uphold literacy as a fundamental human right and a powerful lever for building more inclusive and sustainable societies for all. Frama Panyi, NTA News.
By working together, Nigerians can close the gap of digital exclusion and open doors to a brighter and inclusive future for all. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu stated this in her message marking this year's International Literacy Day with the theme Promoting Literacy in the Digital Era, while noting that the focus of the celebration challenges the nation to empower its youth, women and the underprivileged with the tools to thrive in a digital world. The First Lady expressed a strong conviction that a literate population is the foundation of boundless opportunities. You're watching News at 7 on NT International, reaching you from our studios in Abuja. Time now to take a break. Do stay tuned. You're welcome back. The governing All Progressives Congress has described allegations by the former Speaker, House of Representatives, and former Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, over President Bola Tinubu's attempt to destabilize opposition parties as falsehoods that cannot be substantiated. In a statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka, APC said Tambuwal's appearance on Channels TV News and his disparaging posture on the president and the governing party does not define his status as a one-time number 4 citizen of Nigeria whose conduct should be exemplary and exceptional. He urged him and his cronies in the African Democratic Congress to fix their internal crisis and face charges of movement of monies by the anti-graft agencies and stop distracting Nigerians with baseless and unfounded claims just to seek undeserving sympathies of the Nigerian people. Leadership Center for Civil and Post-Trauma Rehabilitation is seeking the arrest and prosecution of a social crusader, Omoyele Sowore, over alleged cyber attack on the president, Bola Tinubu. Addressing a press conference in Abuja, the group decried the direct and personal attack on the president by Sowore, describing his action as uncalled for. The civil society group is wondering why security agencies have not taken in Sowore for questioning, noting that no matter the political difference individuals or groups have against the president, the office must be respected at all times. The group expressed satisfaction with the performance of the president, who has set a major pace in governance and leadership since his assumption of office.
We welcome all Nigerians from across the social strata of society to join us in condemning these unwarranted attacks. Enough is enough. We must stand together to protect the office, the personality, the symbolism of the office of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic and the democratic project from those who seek to undervalue and to undermine it. We reiterate our strongest condemnation of these unethical, immoral, and highly personalized attacks on President Tinubu. We demand that those responsible be held accountable for their actions.
He called on Nigerians to always be mindful of the fact that Nigeria is bigger than any individual, no matter the opinion they share about government and governance. The air we breathe, a silent but vital resource, is under threat from rising pollution. Poor air quality not only endangers public health, but also undermines environmental safety. fueling climate change and eroding the well-being of communities. But as the world marks International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies, focus is on safeguarding the skies and the shared responsibility for a healthier environment. Charles Alpha reports.
The air today feels heavier than it did a decade ago. From smoky exhaust fumes on busy highways to indiscriminate waste burning in communities, the impact of poor air quality is no longer something that can be ignored. It has gone beyond an environmental concern to becoming a matter of health and survival. In 2022, Nigeria was ranked the 8th most polluted country in the world. By the 2024-2025 global report, it moved to 11th place. Yet, its air quality level of 71.5 micrograms per cubic meter remains far above the World Health Organization's recommended guidelines of just 5 micrograms. Each year, an estimated 114,000 Nigerians lose their lives to respiratory diseases, cardiovascular complications, and increased vulnerability to infections linked to dirty air. In response, countries across the world, including Nigeria, are taking deliberate steps to cut carbon emissions, especially as they mark the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies.
Choose the water you drink, you can choose the dress you wear, you can choose the clothes you wear, but you can't choose the air you breathe.
The Nigerian government is not relenting. Through the Ministry of Environment, in partnership with Nasarawa State Government and stakeholders, a vehicular emission testing center has been launched. The Minister of Environment, Balarabe Abbas Lawal, represented at the event, expressed optimism that the initiative will pave the way for cleaner air.
Today's commissioning, it is about hope for clean air, clean skies, healthier lungs, and safer environment for all Nigerians.
Vehicular emission test project is a pilot project in Nigeria. We in Nasarawa State, we are proud to have it in the state.
We are testing specifically PM2.5, PM10, and black carbon. We already know those are the ones that are actually harmful to our health.
As Nigeria joins the world to mark the Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies, one message stands out. Protecting the air is a shared responsibility. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
In a move that promises to revolutionize healthcare for Nigeria's civil servants, President Bola Tinubu has mandated compulsory health insurance for all ministries, departments and agencies. This directive has the potential to transform the lives of thousands of workers and their families, providing them with access to quality healthcare and financial protection. Now, how will this directive work, and what do the workers themselves think about it? Uche Kujku finds out in this special report.
This is a typical government office in Abuja. Many workers spend long hours here. Others, like Job Ede, who works in a government media outfit, keep late night schedules. With his large family, Job says his major challenge before enrolling in health insurance was the cost of medical treatment.
First of all, when I brought my children to the hospital, the bill they gave me when I was not insured was higher than now.
Currently, just about 10% of Nigerians have health insurance, and with out-of-pocket expenses accounting for over 70% of health costs, accessing quality care remains a daily struggle for most workers.
All these years, I wasn't partaking in it.
A new directive from President Bola Tinubu could change that narrative. He has ordered all ministries, departments and agencies to enroll their staff in health insurance.
The statement by Mr. President is the best.
But to work with the private sector so that the mandate, as we implement over time, will be one that also doesn't constrain them.
Get to the hospital, they end up administering drugs for you to go and buy, that they don't have it.
How effective is going to be this pronouncement?
NHIA will come up with a framework. We will engage and work with the different MD.
Health experts say the directive is part of broader reforms to reimagine healthcare financing and reduce the burden of out-of-pocket payments. Beyond that, the plan is to bring more people into the scheme with a target of enrolling at least 44 million Nigerians by 2030.
We understand perfectly well the importance of driving volume in the health insurance industry.
While the government is trying to expand the number of people who come under the umbrella of the health insurance, they should also work on the efficiency of the insurance.
For Job and many other workers, the hope is that this policy will not just remain on a paper. Uche Uguchukwu, NTA News.
The federal government has announced the disengagement of the Special Assistant to the President on Digital and Creative Economy, Office of the Vice President, Fegu John Umunubu. Stakeholders and constituents of the digital and creative economy at home and abroad, as well as the general public, are by this notice informed that Fegu John Umunubu no longer represents this administration in any capacity. Henceforth, anyone who interfaces with him in the name of President Tinubu's administration does so at his or her own risk. Director of Information and Public Relations, State House, Abiodun Oladunjoye, urges all stakeholders and constituents of the digital and creative economy to be so guided. And that brings us to the end of the news. We thank you for watching. I am Lami Ali. Taiwo Ozoma has been the sign language interpreter. Do have a good evening.